The ideas and content in this podcast are our own and do not reflect the views or opinions of any previous or former employees.
I love it.
Wait a minute. That's not right.
That's it. It's close enough. I'm not going to go back and edit this.
I said employees.
What?
Or did I?
I have no idea what you
Previous
said.
or current employers. It doesn't represent anybody that we know. It only represents Damien and me and the stuff that we're making up right now.
And the pure genius that clearly pours out of us.
Of course.
Like a river of knowledge. Like a river of useless knowledge.
A river of... I was going to say river of knowledge. That's weird that we're so waked up.
We're synced, buddy. We're synced. Jason, how's your week been going?
My week has been just jam-packed full of stuff. We had production reviews and some people out and a few issues.
How dare people go on vacation?
When it's nice in the summertime, it's like, you make me sick.
You know what's crazy, dude? I keep telling people, I'm like, look, I'm going to Florida for vacation. And they're like, oh my God, it's so hot. I'm like, bro, I don't give a crap if it's hot.
I know.
I just want to go unwind,
Not here.
decompress, kind of regain some sanity, spend some time with my wife and kids, and just relax for a week, man. And
I always say that in the beginning of your week off, I always feel like you think about it for the first couple of days, and then you check your email for a while. I took the week of 4th of July off.
Yeah.
And we did do a beach vacation, which was great. But the best part about it was that Thursday and Friday, most people weren't working. So, and that means Wednesday is like a half day for most of those folks. And so it meant that only 2.5 days of my week, everybody and their mother was sending me emails. And so that gave me a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Well, nice. I'll tell you, and so for those listening, this podcast might sound a little different because Jason and I regrettably are geographically dispersed, separated. I don't know what the word is. I don't know. So we are actually we're on the phone with each other, so it might sound a little different. So don't think that we've lost our technical edge because we haven't. We're actually
cutting edge still.
Cutting edge. If we were ever, I don't know. But today we're actually going to cover something that is critically important. If you want to look, if you want to be that professional construction manager, you want to be, you want to be able to take your career to the next level, you have to know how to deal with trade partners that are underperforming. And not even just trade partners, but really could be subordinate, could be, employees that you have, could be anybody that you are responsible for their work. Because how you document it. Yeah. Right. So it's how you document that the poorly performing company or person is very critical, right? So there's tons of ways that trade partners can kind of get out of sync with your schedule or with your, what you have going on. Right. So they can miss schedules. They can be doing shoddy work or work that's not up to your standards. They could be just trashing your job site.
Right.
Nothing makes me, I'll tell you, Jason, nothing gets my blood boiling faster than watching a guy. I'll see some dude, he'll walk, be walking out of a house or whatever, have a wrapper in his hand or just throw it on the ground.
I know.
It doesn't matter that
water bottles in the summertime.
Water bottles,
just
Gatorade
throwing
bottles,
them on the ground.
Makes me crazy, man. I'm like, really? Would you do that at your house? But you think you can do it at mine? Oh, it pisses me off big time. But I get angry when I see that anywhere. But if it's on my job site, I'm like, dude, if you have so little respect for my job site that you're going to throw your garbage on the ground and not even care about it, what kind of work are you doing?
Right.
Drives me insane. Some country, if they damage somebody else's work, they damage other trades' work, or they come in, they see that somebody else has done bad work and they decide they're just going to put their good work over top of that bad work. We call it, putting good work over bad. Or gouging with pricing. That makes me insane as well.
I can't wait till eventually we have time to go back through our previous recordings and just line up all the things that you said, nothing makes me more angry than. Because I've
Uh,
heard you say that like a dozen times at least since we started this. Nothing makes me more angry than a guy who doesn't write stuff down.
there's a lot of things that get my blood going, man. I
Yeah,
don't
dude, you
know.
got to watch out for Damien.
You gotta watch out because I'm telling you, I'm coming after you. We've got so basic bottom line is now we've got a subcontractor or a trade partner that's not performing as well as they should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing I think that you can do in that instance is document it. You have got to document what's going on.
Right.
I sat through a meeting. This is a few years ago. I called a meeting with my superintendent. Was like, "This guy's doing this. He's doing all this stuff." I'm like, "Man, you've recorded all that, right?" And they're like, "Absolutely." I'm like, awesome. So then I go call a meeting. Shame on me. I should have double checked before I did anything. But I call this meeting. I get the trade partner in there. I've got the owner of the company. I got the foreman. I'm like, "All right, let's see what you got." And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, where are all your missed schedules? Your correspondence with the contractor, your emails, what do you got? Oh, I don't have any of that. He just missed my schedule. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we hauled the owner of this company in here to give him a hard time about missing your schedules, and you can't even produce a schedule that they've missed.
Right.
I'm like, sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry I called you in here. This meeting's over. So it's super critical that if we have, obviously we maintain our schedule. If somebody misses your schedule, you need to record it. If you're using an electronic scheduling device or system or whatever, typically there's a place for notes. Hey, subcontractor misscheduled this date, reached out to him, says he's going to be here tomorrow. Boom, done. Then it's recorded.
Right.
It's documented. You've got it. Then if you ever need to, you can pull all your notes up and say, here are the dates you missed. Here's the time we talked. Here's what you told me you were gonna do to correct it. Here's when you didn't do it. Here's when I called you again, and on and on and on and on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The first thing that I was saying today, I had a conversation with the CM about to back up, like before you get to the point where you're calling a subcontractor and bringing them in for like that formal sit down, like come to Jesus meeting, is how you go about your day and how you double check the things that you've already instructed people to do. Mm-hmm. So I drew on the board, it's hard to do on the podcast here to describe it, but you can imagine what, cartoon, water looks like. It's like a loopy W one after another, right? Loop, loop, loop. But the way that a construction manager should actually operate is
I'm sorry, man. I just got that. I was like, a cartoon W. What the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, just like peaks and valleys, right? Gotcha. That's not how you want to be. What you actually want to be looks more like a phone cord, an old school phone cord, where you loop back around and through the things that you've already done. Today, you check what you called out yesterday.
Yeah.
And you don't cross it off your list until you're done calling it out to that guy. And really, that's the first step, because if you call a guy and you tell him to be there and he's not there, and you want to have a formal sit down with the owner of the company after that, you probably don't know what you're doing and you're not organized. So my point is, you have to start by documenting those things, having this conversation, sending emails to the subcontractor or trade partner, and making sure that you follow up so that when it does come down for that meeting, you've got something where you've shown, I've done my due diligence along the way to try to help you not fail, and you're still failing.
So, it's funny you say that. So, the one thing I get from, construction managers all the time is I'll say, oh, he missed your schedule. What'd you do? And they're like, well, I called him. I'm like, okay, well, you called him. Did you do anything? Did you follow it up with an email? Oh, no. I called him, though. It's good. I'm like, no, it's not good. It's not good enough. If you had to make the phone call in the first place, it needs to be documented some way. You need to follow up with an email and say, hey, per our conversation this morning, you missed my schedule. You're going to be here tomorrow, or here's how you're going to rectify whatever the issue may have been, damaged material or whatever. So it's super important. So the other thing that I think is important, so, it's not all one-sided, right? So we want to make sure if we do have contractors that are falling down or failing in some way, we don't hit them with surprise back charges. If you're at the point where you're going to take money away from one of our trade partners, you need to let them know you're doing it. It needs to be a phone call, an email, and an explanation. Hey, walked into a house, found your guy, you know, who, I don't want to be vulgar, but, you know, found a drywall tube upside down filled with piss in my wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're paying to clean it up or whatever. You know, it's going to cost
Right.
$100. You expect a deduction in your next payment of $100 because that's what I'm
And
charging for.
it's funny. It's like we also act. You brought up that disgusting thing that may or may not have ever happened, but just remember the disclaimer, folks.
Right.
The as far as the guy who throws trash on the ground, that's the animal that you're so upset with. But your problem is our society in general. I pulled up to a stoplight a few months ago and watched somebody just open a window and throw a full bag of trash while we were all stopped at an intersection.
Oh my
So
God.
the point is that it's everywhere, and it's up to you to control it in the one environment you can control it on, your area. I acted like a maniac, and my wife asked me to stop saying those things in front of my children. Nothing worse.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's horrible. Who does that?
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Animals.
you wouldn't go into an
Animals
office
do that.
building and just throw a bag of trash on the ground. So why is the job site, that's your work environment, why is that any different?
Right.
You know, I once banned smoking on outside on a job site.
How'd that work out for you?
You know, it's because the trash guys were finding cigarette butts everywhere. So I called
Right.
a subcontractor meeting and I was like, going forward, there's no smoking on this job site. If it catches smoking, it's a $250 fine. I'm throwing you off the job. And the guys were like, you can't do that. And I said, watch me.
Yeah.
And for a week, there was no smoking on the job site. But I'm telling you, dude, I was looking over my shoulder everywhere I went. So finally, I was like, hey, you guys have done a great job of cleaning up the trash. You can resume killing
probably
yourself slowly.
There's probably a few of those smokers who are already thinking about clubbing you over the head.
I guarantee
before you
it,
told
man.
them they couldn't have a
I
cigarette.
guarantee it. I never looked over my shoulder so much in my life. I'd be walking under I'd be walking next to a mason scaffold. Like, which one of these masons is going to launch a brick at my face? So, like, you know, whatever, dude. You know,
Dude,
whatever.
Hey, look, you do have to establish guidelines, and you have to make sure that that you're able to have this conversation later, because it's inevitable. I've had it with friends of mine that own companies where I have to say things like, right now, you're currently the worst performing contractor on this project.
Yeah.
And I know that's probably hard to hear, but I don't want you to be there any more than you want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You can't do it with just words, though. You got to have it documented.
100%. It can't just be a phone call or a conversation in person. It's got to be documented because otherwise you got nothing.
Right.
Dude, I'll tell you another story. I had this is a long time ago. I had a plumber that wasn't performing well, and we had a scheduling software program. It was an awesome program, and we documented everything. Every time they missed a schedule, it was documented. And my biggest problem was the foreman could never get to work on time. He could never be there on time. He could never get his crews going. And just had kind of an I don't care attitude. So I got the owner of the company. I got all the owners of the company I was working for. I got the owners of this plumbing company. We're all sitting around this conference table, and I throw this like 400-page punch list of items they owed me on there, 400 items. I throw it on the table. I'm like, here's the work that you haven't completed on this job site. You know, and I'm telling them, I'm like, look, the problem is your foreman doesn't seem to care. He's always late. This. And then like clockwork, like I paid him to be late. He walks into this meeting like 20 minutes late and he's like, oh, sorry, I'm late, guys. And just sat down like it was nothing. And I looked at him and I looked at the owner of the company and I said, do I have to go on? And he was like, no, Damien, we're done. We're going to take care of this immediately. And I didn't have another problem with him because it was so obvious to the owner of this company because everything was documented. I had everything lined up. You know, the people that I had with me, my president of this company, didn't say a word except for, hi, how are you, at the beginning of the meeting. And I was like, here's everything. Boom. And that superintendent, gone. Never saw him again. So, which is harsh, but, you know, when you're pushing production, man, you got to get people out there that care and that are on the same page as you. So,
I mean, you can get fired from Wendy's for not showing up once. You ought to be able to get fired from your career job or your manager of a trade partner. I mean, we're talking about big dollar amounts and huge implications here. I mean, it's somebody's house that you're moving into, and at the end of the process, if you fail and you ruin that, then what are we doing here?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's the thing. So for everybody listening to this podcast, just keep in mind, if you want to go into the trades and you're a hard worker, you will be a superstar.
Right.
If you can get things done and you can do a good job, you can work hard, man, you can make a ton of money. You can be a superstar. Construction managers will beg you to come work for them. So,
Yeah.
anyway, the other thing, always, 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 if you call a meeting like with a foreman of a company, or you're going to get your boss out to talk to a contractor or whatever, and you're running the job, always make sure that the information that you are providing at that meeting is accurate. I recently attended a meeting, and the information that I had been given was incorrect. So I'm standing there with a trade partner, and I'm like giving him the business, and he's like, "That's not right." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he shows me the correct information, and I look like an idiot. And I was like, "Huh." Now, any bit of negotiating power that I thought that I had when I walked into that meeting is gone, because I've been given the wrong information, and all
You
of a
mean
sudden, what?
you didn't trust but verify? Or check the checker?
Damn it!
Sound like a hypocrite now.
I know I didn't. But I'll tell you what. Fool me once, that's it.
I love it.
So, but
Yeah,
it's
another
super
thing.
important. Yeah.
Go ahead. Another thing that we talked about these conversations, and I know that we're kind of working our way down here, but when you do have the conversation and you double check your information and you go in, you say those hard things to say to a company owner or foreman or somebody in charge to try to help them improve, because your goal is not just to give them the business. Your goal is to fix the problem and move forward in a smooth fashion, right?
Yeah.
I find, and this goes for talking to clients, customers, bosses, everybody that you're meeting with about anything important, I like to follow up with a summary, some sort of a written, an email, or if it's very serious, maybe a certified letter that just says, "Hi, it was a pleasure meeting you today. I'm glad that we can work to some sort of resolution. Here are the things that I plan to look into," and then follow that up with, now that I've done my research, here are the ways that we're going to succeed. And that, I feel like, is the only way to kind of close the loop on your plan.
No, I wasn't listening. I apologize.
All right, you keep doing whatever it is you're doing. How about I read the next thing on this agenda?
Sorry.
Present your written evidence. Show notice of violation. Okay, that's a good one. Show notice of violation and ongoing correspondence. That's what we talked about. If you're a CM, you're taking notes. I used to write in my notebook. I always told you, write it in the brain. I would make phone calls and I would make notes next to the things that I wrote down as a deficiency, and say, spoke with such and such at this time on this date, and this is what he told me. And that way, when you call them back the next time and they say, "We never said that. We never even talked about that," which happens from time to time, you can say, "I spoke with you at 4:42 and you told me that you would have it here on 5:13.
I love it.
Whatever the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
were you listening to that part?
I was. I really was, because that just goes back to documentation, man. That's. Really? I just cannot stress enough how important it is. It's because the trades, your trade partners will do it when they come talk to you. The good ones, they'll write it down. So when you go back to them and say, "I told you to be here," blah 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 blah, they'll be like, "No, you didn't." On this,
and usually those people that you have in the room there, they want to succeed. Yeah. So they're trying to gather information to find out what they need to correct, the same way you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And a great way to avoid any kind of issues is to make sure that the information you provide. So I was actually having a conversation with some construction managers this morning, and I said, it is critically important that the information you give to your trade partners is accurate. Don't guess, be sure. If you're not sure, say, "I will get back to you." Double check the information and make sure that the trade partners have the most up-to-date, accurate information they could possibly have. Because when they show up to do work, they want to get their work done, and they only want to do it once. They want to do it and leave. And if you're at the point where they can't trust the information that you're giving them, they're probably not even going to show up very often, because It's going to be, they know that they're not going to be able to get their work done, and it's going to cost them 3 or 4 times as much just to do a simple job, or they're going to have to do it twice. So,
and if you don't have all the questions answered, then why finish the job?
right, exactly. So here's the thing. Anytime you have to meet with your partners, your trade partners or a subordinate or whatever, after you've identified the problem, you need to start formalizing a plan. How are we going to correct this? And it's easy just to say, this is your problem, you have to fix it. The better thing to do is to say, how can I help you make yourself better? How can I help you improve your performance?
What do you need from me to make these things happen?
Exactly. And I get a lot of pushback on that sometimes, man. People are like, oh, it's their problem. Why should I help them? And I'm like, because your job, your goal is the completion of the project. If you've got a trade partner that's slowing that down, they're slowing you down. It's in your best interest to help them be better. And they'll appreciate it, man. They'll come back and they'll say, oh, I want to, if you have to have a favor done or something goes wrong and you need their help, they're going to be like, you know what, this guy's always willing to help me. I'm going to help them too. And that's how you build relationships, right?
Right.
And that, if everybody's successful, that's the end goal. That's what you want more than anything else. So you're always going to want to prepare like an action plan afterwards and make sure it's clear. You have your meeting. You're like, I'm going to do A, B, and C. You're going to do X, Y, Z. You're going to get it completed by this date. We'll regroup then, make sure everything's, the way it's supposed to be. And then we're golden. We're still working, still making money.
And another note that you made here is to just explain the consequences. Yeah. I mean, let's not let the consequences not be a surprise.
Exactly.
If I'm telling you, look, I'm not going to let you fail. I don't fail. And if you make me fail, then we have to sever ties here. So this is your last chance. You failed these 3 other times, and now this is your last chance. And if this doesn't happen on Thursday, like we're discussing, then I'm going to have to fire you.
Yeah.
Like if you say it up front, then they can never say that they didn't see this coming.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be as bad as termination, but it could be, I'm going to charge you exculpatory damages or whatever it may be. You're delaying my project. I'm paying interest on a loan until this project is completed. Well, I'm going to charge you the interest for that many days, or what, however you work it out. There's a million ways to put pressure on trade partners.
Sure. Well, and them to you too. I mean, if you want it on this date, then you need to get these things done for me. And that's usually very reasonable and also up to you.
It is very reasonable. And I've seen people freak out and be like, start cussing, don't you dare threaten me and blah, 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 blah. But you know what, man? It's not unreasonable for one of our trade partners to say, I need this information or I'm not coming out there. Because why should they? Yeah, and
it's not unfair, and we're all working toward a common goal here. So help me help you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. So for that brief second when I stopped paying attention, you know what I was doing?
What?
I was daydreaming about going to Vanish for a live event. So we've been talking about it forever. So Jason and I were talking earlier, and we're in the Northern Virginia, Western Maryland geographical area, if you will. And there is a brewery called Vanish that sits right in between us. So that's where we're looking to have a live event. We want to if you're in that area, or if you want to fly in from a foreign country where you're listening to this podcast, because we are worldwide, you can come. You can fly into Dulles. It's about 30 minutes.
We don't even have a date for this yet.
Dude, I'm putting it out there. I'm going to call them today, nail down that date, and we're going to put it out on social media.
That sounds like a great plan, actually.
I'm doing it.
You're the most cart before the horse guy I've ever met.
100%.
I love it.
I'm like, you want a house built right there? Here are the keys. I'll put the foundation in next week.
He's like, hold on, let me call everybody and tell them it's happening first.
But I'm a doer, man. I'm a doer. So I finally decided I'm doing it. It's going to be at Vanish. It's a great place. It's a brewery. They have wine. They have beer. They have all kinds of games, like outdoor games and stuff that you can play there. It's a huge facility, super nice, great casual atmosphere. So we'll put the date and time out. We'll do a live stream for about an hour, and we'll just have a party for the rest of it. So we'll put that out on social media, hopefully early beginning of next week, I hope. Something like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's our show for
today. I got
today.
something to say before we go.
What do you got?
I went to various different podcast apps to check us out, comparing ourselves to everybody else. And I noticed that when you search construction, there are a number of podcasts,
Yep.
and there are a few that have more followers than us.
Don't believe it.
And it's understandable. Some of them have been around for years, but let's face it, they all suck way worse than we do. And so what I really want is for our listeners, which are coming, I mean, we put out a podcast and there's 400 people that are downloading this thing. If 400 people are downloading it, please just follow us on your
right.
on Podbean, and nobody's listening on Podbean, but on iPodcast, please just follow us already.
For Christ's sakes, hurry up! All right, guys, that's it for today. Follow us on Instagram. We have a YouTube page coming out. We're gonna have a couple of videos out there. We've recorded them. We've just got to stick them out there. Honestly, we love the comments. We love the suggestions. We've gotten a ton of emails here recently. Keep them coming. We love getting them. We reply to them pretty quickly, and we do it ourselves. We don't have people for that yet. So if you're going to reach out to us, we're the ones that are going to respond. Other than that, we love it. Keep listening to us. And we'll announce the live event here within the next 5 or 6 days. Thanks a lot.